Good evening. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Pitch Dia. We sincerely appreciate you coming out to spend your evening with us tonight. You guys ready to hear some great business ideas? Look, Dalton is a town built on entrepreneurship. Y'all can be a little more excited. Okay, good. Well, we're going to get to that, but I want to start with a couple of different things sort of logistically. I want to talk to you about how we got to this event here tonight as a community. I want to talk to you a little bit about the structure of the event. And then I need to introduce our judges who are going to be deciding who wins our big grand prize tonight for our inaugural Pitch Dia. So I'm going to start by telling you sort of how we got here. In April of last year, I stood in front of a large group of people, probably about the same size of this crowd tonight, and we talked about where we were as a community. And the research that we presented in April of last year influenced the strategies of Believe Greater Dalton. And one of the things that we talked about in April of last year is that Dalton is a community, Greater Dalton is a community that is built on entrepreneurship and innovation. The recession largely killed that entrepreneurial spirit. When we looked at new business starts during the recession, we had a big flat line, and it was flatter than just about any other community in the country. So our entrepreneurial spirit was hit very, very hard by the recession. In October of last year, I stood once again in front of a crowd at Dalton City Hall as we announced our 6 strategies for Believe Greater Dalton. One of those strategies, obviously, is a focus on entrepreneurship. And we had basically 3 goals for our entrepreneurial strategy for Believe Greater Dalton. Goal number 1, have a physical hub for entrepreneurship downtown. Goal number 2, partner with Dalton State College and GNTC to deliver programming. Goal number 3, offer business-related training specifically for entrepreneurs in a downtown setting. A few weeks after that meeting, I got a phone call from a guy named Stacy Roach, who is one of the partners at Inventure IT. And he said, Bob Caperton and Barry Slaymaker and I have been thinking about starting an accelerator, and we'd like to sit down with you and talk about how we can work with Believe Greater Dalton. So that meeting occurred, and it turns out their goals were pretty much exactly the same goals that we had for entrepreneurship with Believe Greater Dalton. And what Bob wasn't at that meeting, but what Barry and Stacy said is, we want this to be bigger than just Barrett Properties and Inventure IT. This needs to be a community asset. Would Believe Greater Dalton be willing to partner with us in this accelerator program and this pitch competition? And I've been accused of being fairly dumb a couple of times in my life, but I wasn't born yesterday. So I said, we would be happy to partner with you guys. A little more than 6 months later, here we sit tonight at Pitch Dia, our inaugural Pitch Dia competition, about to celebrate the strength of our local entrepreneurs. I failed to mention that the 3 goals that we had for entrepreneurship in Believe Greater Dalton were 5-year goals. So we wanted to have a physical space, partner with Dalton State College and GNTC, and deliver entrepreneur-specific training within a 5-year time span. Next month, Dalton Innovation Accelerator will open. That is our physical space. We're taking a group of people next month up to Chattanooga to look at 2 or 3 different ways to deliver entrepreneur-specific training. So what does this mean? It means for Believe Greater Dalton, we will accomplish our 5-year strategic plan goals in 6 months. Now, all you business people out there are going to say, y'all didn't set the goal high enough. And I agree with that. So that means we're going to spend the next 4.5 years figuring out how we can far exceed our initial goals. So that is how we got here to this point in time this evening. Now I want to talk a little bit about how this evening is going to be structured before I introduce the judges. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to introduce our 4 judges. As I mentioned, they are going to decide who wins our grand prize and who is our runner-up. You're going to hear pitches after I introduce the judges from our 3 finalists. These are the 3 entrepreneurial groups that are competing to win our grand prize. Once those pitches are done, we will excuse the judges. They will deliberate to decide who our winner is. And during that time, you are going to hear from 2 of our semifinalists. These are folks that didn't quite make it to our final round, but their ideas are so good that they deserve your attention tonight. At the conclusion of those 2 pitches, hopefully our judges will be back and we will announce our winner and our runner-up, and then we will be dismissed. Everybody got that? You ready to hear about our judges? All right, I got 2 hands and 2 things in my hands. That's not going to work. Yeah, we should have planned for that. We didn't plan for everything. Our first judge, Pete Dosha. He is the president of U.S. Floors and the EVP of Hard Services at Shaw Industries. His career in the floor covering industry began in 1981 when he joined, that's not going to work either. There we go. When he joined the Beaulieu Group in his native Belgium. In 1990, he left the Beaulieu Group to move his family right here to Dalton, Georgia, to join Beaulieu of America. He held various senior management leadership positions within the Beaulieu Group of America until 2001 when he founded U.S. Floors. In 2012, Pete and his partners changed the luxury vinyl market for floor covering with the invention of CoreTech. And just a few short years later, Pete and his partners sold U.S. Floors to Shaw Industries, where he is now an employee. Please give a warm welcome to our favorite Belgian, Pete Dosha. Jamie Hamilton is our next judge. It would not be unfair to call him Mr. Seed Investor in Atlanta, Georgia. He is the managing director of the Atlanta Seed Company, where he is responsible for the formulation and implementation of their investment strategy. He has a reputation as a prolific early stage and seed investor in Atlanta, Georgia. And some of you are going to boo about this. Some of you are going to boo about this, and some of you are going to clap, but he is also a Georgia Tech alum. Please welcome our favorite seed investor, Jamie Hamilton. Our next judge is our very own Dr. Marilyn Helms. Her title there is extremely long. What's really important for you to know is that she is the dean of the Wright Business School at Dalton State College. She has her doctorate of business administration, her MBA, and her BBA, all from the University of Memphis in Tennessee. If I were to list all of her certifications in logistics and supply chain management, we'd be here about 2 hours. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you she's an expert at logistics and supply chain management. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Marilyn Helms, our favorite dean. Our fourth and final judge tonight is a senior VP at BB&T based in Atlanta. He has more than 20 years experience in the financial service industry. If you have a financial service need, he can solve it for you. Prior to that, he was a consulting attorney in estate, business, and charitable planning with AXA Equitable. Please give a warm welcome to Brian Moore, our favorite banker. All right, you guys ready to hear some pitches? Absolutely. Well, I'd like you to help me give a warm welcome to our first team, the team from X Out.
Hey, can I grab the clicker? Thank you, sir. Well, first of all, let me just say thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate your time. Your time is valuable, and I appreciate you coming out to hear me speak. So, let me hit that button again. Not a good start. Okay. Rob?
I didn't do it.
Okay. All right. Okay, 3 seconds. Okay. Does this come off my time? Okay. All right, let's start over. So this is land and cabin access for public good, and I think that should also say private access. And the photo that you see there is my stepdaughter Emily right here from last weekend. And this is all about getting outside. In fact, we've got a tagline that we've started to use called Rewild Your Child. I love it. This was about 20 minutes away, and we had an incredible day. Out of all the trips that we've ever done, she said this was her most favorite. She absolutely loved finding salamanders, crawdads, and making new friends outdoors. So I wanted to talk to you about what the problem we're trying to solve. And again, my name's Alex Brown with X Out. The major problem that we have today is land distribution. Now, I come from Colorado, and in Colorado, you can see the federally accessible or federal land that's publicly accessible. It's generally between 30 and 50% out west. Here in Georgia, it's 3.8%. And for those of you that say, "Oh, wait, what about state trusts or state land?" It's minuscule. So there's really very little access for our residents. And this is a major problem. It's not just a problem for people that are in the lower socioeconomic groups. It's a problem for all of us, for society, because we all know that if you can't get outside, it's harder to exercise, it's harder to do things. And if you look at Dalton's this white spot right here, we went out and did some consumer insight research. We asked people questions like, how much would you pay for a guide? How willing would you be to go and use a fly fishing guide, for example? And we asked them critical questions about what type of activity they do. And what's very, very compelling about Dalton is the following: that the evidence that the data suggests that people are willing to drive between 150 to 200 miles for key activities. These would be things like hiking, camping, fishing, hunting, and glamping. Who knows what glamping is? Just out of show of hands. Wow, pretty good. Glamping is high-end camping. So there's two distinct type of people that go out. There's more than two, but there's two distinct groups that camp. Those that like traditional camping and bugs and stuff, and then glamping, which is high-end camping. So it's an incredible way to get a lot of new people out. Now, here's what the most compelling statistic is, I think, that I'm going to give you today. This circle represents about 5% of the U.S. population. What a perfect test market to test our business idea. And I'm going to get to exactly what the business idea is in a moment. Land access choices have been limited. So you can rent an RV with outdoorsy. You can enlist your property if you own a home, Airbnb, VRBO. You can rent a car of any sort with Turo right now. I can go get any car, and you can too with TURRO. But land access has remained the same since the Civil War days. Hasn't changed a bit. You either lease it or join a club, and both sides hate that. Landowners hate it because they have to tie up their land for the whole year, And the folks in my generation and younger generations cannot stand the idea of a year commitment. 1 full year for a lease. It's also expensive, and you have no variety of land. You're going to use that same piece of land over and over. You can buy it, which I don't know. Buying it, most people don't want to buy land today. Most people that do these outdoor recreation activities. And frankly, it's so expensive that only a small percentage, maybe 3 or 4% of people can afford to buy a big farm to go fish or hunt outright. So that's not going to work to solve our problem of such little public access. Or you can go knock on doors. Door knocking has gone the way of hitchhiking. When's the last time you saw a hitchhiker? If someone knocked on your door and I said, hey, I'm Alex, I really want to hunt on your land or fish on your land or camp on your land, what would you tell me? Get lost. I'm eating dinner. So X-Out is a way to match up, and I'll go back one, to match up landowners with guides and land users. We went all throughout the country looking for insurance, and Zach Hash here locally was the only person that would actually sit down with me and spend hours understanding the concept, and he found us insurance from a Fortune 500 company. So that's the elephant in the room. That's the number one thing we got from landowners in our survey data. What about liability? What about insurance? We've been quoted and approved for these policies here, an umbrella, liability, general liability. And by the way, I've been told by numerous attorneys that Georgia has very good laws for landowners if we write the waivers correctly. So we're going to make sure the waivers are done correctly to protect you as a landowner. Now, you might wonder, well, how big is this market, right? How big could it possibly be to go out and fish and camp and hunt and hike and walk your dog off leash? It's absolutely mind-boggling how much it's grown in the last 2 years. This is from 2015. So in the last 2 or 3 years, it's now 850 billion roughly, give or take a few million. The segmented addressable market, that's the market that we're dealing with, which is leasing and real estate, is 3.23 billion. And we're being very conservative here. We think in 5 years we can do $32.3 million. And that's conservative. That's not including the guides. That's just landowners and land users. Okay, so you might think, well, Alex, come on, this is pie in the sky. This is Dalton, Georgia. We're a carpet town, right? No, we are more than a carpet town. We are a destination location for outdoor recreation. Chattanooga's 20 minutes away. It was voted by Outside Magazine as one of the premier places to go. We have so much to do outside: hiking, mountain biking, blackberry picking, camping, fly fishing, hunting, you name it. So let's just talk about the immediate competitors. Tent RR is up in New York and New England. They've invested $23 million so far in the last year. Some pretty big names here, hedge funds and others, and they are glamping only at just a few campsites. They see potential, they're investing $23 million. Outdoor Access is a membership model, revenue driven from the membership primarily. They are our most direct competitor. They've raised, at least we know of, $1.88 million. I don't know what the seed funding is, but quite a bit of money. And they offer day access for the activities that I'm talking about today. And then we have Hip Camp on the other coast in San Francisco, and they've raised $11.5 million, and they're focused exclusively on camping and camping only. They've thrown out fishing. They've pushed away the hunters. And I believe that all of us can be at the table together, especially in this climate. We all need to come together and focus on this model. And this model is you see it everywhere you go. It's on-demand access. So users have complained that public lands are crowded, they're priced out, the youth aren't getting access anymore. Hunting's down 20% as an example. Inflexible terms for the owners. They don't like the contract, they have risk, time, and resources. But the guides, this is what's so interesting. Many of us grew up fishing, camping. Not everyone did. So the evidence from the survey data is very simple. They need help. They need X-Out to come in and introduce a guide to them on demand to help them learn these things. This is how people learn how to go fly fishing and camping. 6.8 million people in Atlanta, a lot of them haven't camped. I can guarantee it. They would do this in a heartbeat. They hit their phone, They hit the website, they get a private land access, and they have a guide to show them how to do these things. Not everyone was a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout. So a little bit about the team, but I want to point out, because I'm running out of time, I want to point this out. This is a critical component. This is how, for the judges and for people from Dalton, this is how we're going to get to revenue quickly. Existing business owners, mom and pop shops that own campsites, that own hunting preserves, that own areas where they don't want to have a website, we can bring a B2B play here, and they will find that business through our website because we're much bigger. I won't talk too much about the team other than to say my business partner's in Durango, and he's got experience with politics and experience up on the Hill. We met at Auburn through our MBA program. I've had a finance, economics, and software background. So I think we bring a pretty good mix to the team to help deliver. But we also know that we need experts, and we've got a lot of different experts on the board: technical, CPA, B2C, B2B. They've done it, they know how to make money, and they're willing to join us. So last and most importantly, how do we make money, and why is Dalton involved? How do we make money? 10% commission to landowners and business owners, 3% commission to land users, 30% commission to guides, which is right in line. Actually, it gives them more money, and then high margins on the last piece. So I'm going to skip this and go straight to Dalton because I ran out of time. Why Dalton? This is key. No other business that I know of will bring this much to the community. New visitors, revenue, jobs for everyone, not just here, but jobs out in the country. Guides can also work. And by the way, the entire community benefits. Everyone. Rural residents, city residents, everyone makes money. Thanks for your time.
So Alex, congratulations on the idea and the presentation. It was outstanding.
Thank you.
Originally, I'm from Minnesota, so this is a terrific idea. I grew up with people that would like to obviously use these services, and as you pointed out, most of the land in Minnesota is private, right? So it's difficult to be able to match up at times. So congratulations on the idea.
Thank you.
I do think there are some questions that the panel has, and so I'm going to turn it over to Pete to start the questions out.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Yeah, Alex, great idea. Thank you very much for presenting it. First and foremost, I mean, you talk about your site. How do you plan to bring consumers, customers to your site? We don't know your site exists out there.
Right.
What is your strategy to bring customers to your site? And then how are you going to contact these landowners in order to bring them on your site as well? So match A with B.
Let me go A first. It's Pete, right? A first. So the first question is, how are we going to go and get people to come to our site? We're going to focus on SEO and marketing. And we think that getting the consumer is much more difficult than getting the landowner. We've been very fortunate to be approached by a couple landowners that have, about 200,000 acres, and a couple other key landowners that have another 100,000. So we believe that we can secure rather quickly 300,000 acres right off the bat. They've given us a verbal commitment. I'm going to go walk the properties. We also have partnered with a timber company that has a ton of access. How we will actually get the other landowners, though, will be through foresters and referrals. So we have a relationship with the second largest timber company, or maybe it's the third. It's one of the top ones. And they are going to give us access to their foresters now to pitch this. Because, see, foresters are always trying to add value to the landowner. And this is very nice for them because they can be flexible with the land, still use it for part of the year, and then the other year they can monetize by leasing it out to recreational enthusiasts.
I just have a quick follow-up question on that. You explained how you're going to bring the landowners and the land into the equation.
Yes.
But land is one thing, and demand is and supply is one thing. You still have to have demand. You have not explained yet how you're going to bring the consumer to your site.
Great point. So if you go onto Facebook today, I don't know if you're on Facebook. Are you on Facebook? Okay, I'm on Facebook. There are 1,500 people right now seeking a lease that can't find one for hunting in North Georgia alone. Then there's Northeast, another 1,000 people seeking a hunting lease. And this goes on and on for all types of access. So we think there's about 25,000 people in the state of Georgia willing to spend at least $1,000 to get access for hunting only. Then we look at fishing. Then we look at mountain biking, camping, and hiking, and we know the demand is there. So the answer to your question is we're going to use social media, we're going to use SEO, but we're also going to go out and build partnerships with some of these organizations. There's numerous organizations that are trying to increase access. And we sincerely hope that a landowner will say, I've got a lot of land, I sure would like to use it for the greater good of society and get more people out there. And I think we've got some we're the most altruistic nation in the world in terms of giving. And we think about the landowners today. I'm very convinced that we're going to have landowners coming to us saying, I want people to be able to afford to go use the outdoors. Does that answer it, Pete?
Alex, I want to follow up on
To an
Pete's
extent, yes, thank
question
you.
just a little bit. Looking toward the customer-facing side of the distribution channel, have you thought about partnering with Cabela Bass Pro Shop or REI to draw customers?
I think those are all great ideas, and we have looked at REI and Cabela as being two different distinct outdoor use case scenarios. One being more hunting, one being more, outdoorsy, just in general. So I think that's one idea. I think another idea would also be to partner with the Division of Natural Resources loves our idea. They're absolutely blown away by it because hunters and fishermen are hunting in particular is down 20%. So they love the idea of keeping that revenue to the state. So they've already said, we will do everything in our power to make this work for you.
I want to echo, great job, great presentation. I've invested in several marketplace businesses. They are not only expensive to build, but they take quite a lot of time to build correctly. Pete had a great question on satisfying both the supply and demand side. But it also begs sort of a follow-up question in that is when you have a traditional marketplace, you do have the supply side, the demand side. If I could just ask you specifically to say right now, who of those two is your customer?
Of the two use cases?
Is it the landowner or is it the user? Which one of those would you say is your primary customer?
I think it's actually the users, the actual people that are the demand. The supply will come. We feel that the supply is very easy to get, not very easy, but it's much easier to get on the whole compared to the actual user. So I think at the end of the day, we have to have demand to make this thing work. And there is insatiable demand to be outside.
Okay, and thank you for that. And then my next is really more a comment rather than a question. It's just maybe in your roadmap, I know this is a tough platform to do in 10 minutes. But have you thought about, and although I don't like making comparisons to other businesses, but maybe adding, I agree the importance to Dalton, the importance that it could be to this region. But how about like a hyper-local connection, even almost like a Yelp for the outdoors? So for example, like if I'm taking my 3 boys fishing, I don't have access, but I want them to have that Rewild Your Child experience. Mm-hmm. Now I can go on, I can find a site or two, I can look at reviews of somebody that was there last week with your daughter, see the reviews, see the guide, see whoever it is, and to understand that. Now you're allowing both the users to review the tract, they're acting real-time reviews, you're acting landowners, now they have skin in the game to make sure the experience is top-notch as they can be. That starts that community effect within that marketplace.
Yep.
That I think that you can see, whether it is with Uber where you've got people rating drivers, they rate you as a passenger. Yelp, no matter where you are, you pull it up in that region, you say, I want to go fishing, here's 2 or 3 sites that are somewhat local.
Yeah, I think the user reviews or the guide reviews and there'd be 3 reviewers. So the user, the guide, or the person who used the guide, and the landowner. And that's on our roadmap. It was we did an MVP, minimum viable product, when we launched. It was much more expensive than we thought to add the review stuff. So that is definitely on the roadmap. But I think your point is well taken, and it's absolutely a must because our survey data for people under 50, the number one thing they want are reviews. For over 50, it's price, and they wanted people to have CPR and be licensed.
Thank you once again. Good job.
Thank you.
Let's give Alex a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you to our judges for those excellent questions as well. I never thought I'd see the day where we'd have the possibility of an Uber for the Outdoors founded right here in Dalton. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Y'all like that idea? Speaking of the outdoors, we hit the rain timing just perfectly. So the outdoor portion of the event, no rain. It only started raining after we got inside. All right, I think our next group is ready to go. So you guys give it up for the K-12 logistics team.
Hey team, my name is Scott Chapman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of K-12 Logistics, and this is my lovely bride and site coordinator, Blair Chapman.
Good evening. So my husband came home in 2016 and he said, I've just been promoted at my middle school to an RTI coordinator. And I was all, oh my God, that is so amazing. I have no idea what RTI coordinator is.
RTI is Response to Intervention. Simply put, it is a federal initiative in which schools identify struggling kids and then propose interventions to help them be successful in a timely manner, most often illustrated by a pyramid. As you go higher into the pyramid, you're talking about a fewer number of students and a greater intensity of interventions.
So this system sounds amazing and it's much needed in our schools. It sounds very simple. However, I stopped by my husband's office and he was surrounded by these purple folders, stacks of them everywhere. And if you want to make a teacher groan, all you have to do literally is ask them, what color is your RTI folder? Because every school has these. Because, once again, RTI is a federal initiative. So when my husband's using these folders, every time he touches one of these purple folders, it takes him about an hour's worth of work. First, he has to track down this folder. It's going to be with somewhere around 1 of 6 teachers who deal with that student. Then he has to organize the folder from all the sheets that the teachers and administrators have stuck in there. He's got to figure out what interventions have been done for the student and if they were concluded, if they were successful, if they weren't successful. He then has to figure out what intervention is needed next and then document that intervention and then organize all of those papers again. That's 1 hour where he has not even spoken to the student.
So let's talk about students for a minute. A while back, I got a student from another school down in Bullitt County, and he came to us, and this student was struggling mightily. He came in and was failing everything but lunch. Also, this student, he was sort of a behavior concern because, let's face it, a lot of students that struggle in school would rather look bad than dumb. So the teachers came to me and they said, we've got to help little Johnny. And so I requested his purple folder from the other school. A week later, the student's been in school the whole time, the purple folder arrives to me. As Blair mentioned, it takes an hour of my time just to go through all the papers. I look in and I can see documentation where some interventions had been attempted, but I saw nothing about follow-through. I didn't know what was successful in helping little Johnny, and even if anything had been done at all. So, whenever I looked at it, I found that this student had moved what looks like every time the rent was due. He was all over the place. So I came home and told Blair, there has got to be a better way.
My husband's drowning in paperwork. Students are not getting the services they need. I knew there had to be something out there to help him. So we started searching, and we searched and searched. And we found that a couple of the big box companies did have RTI data storage.
But we looked at the research, and the research shows there's been no significant change in the U.S. literacy rates in the last 10 years. And these companies have been around for a long time, but evidently they're not helping kids.
That's because all they're doing is storing data. We really needed something that was helping teachers drive the RTI process. And so I told Scott, we can do this. We can develop something that's helping our teachers and our students.
So I partnered with an IT company here in Dalton, Georgia, and we invented K-12 Logistics. K-12 Logistics is an online platform aimed at driving the RTI process.
As we were developing this, we worked a lot with Scott's experience as an RTI coordinator, and we talked to a lot of teachers about what they saw was failing them in the RTI process. One thing they said was that they were having trouble coming up with research-based interventions that actually worked in the classroom.
So we wanted to save teachers time and put their efforts where they belong, and that's on helping kids. So what we did at K-12 Logistics is we developed this online platform with some preloaded interventions or ideas for helping students.
Another thing teachers told us was that even when they had a really great intervention that they planned and they put into place, they often meant to come back and test to see if it was successful or not in 2, 4, 6 weeks. However, you probably know teachers are really busy, right? So they would get swamped with grading, with parent conferences, with meetings, with trainings, and they would often forget to come back and assess that intervention to see if it was even helping the kids.
So to help the teachers with this problem, we developed a unique notification system for our platform. And what this does is if a teacher says we're going to implement this intervention over a period of time, we are going to help that teacher know when to do a progress monitoring to see if it actually helped the student. And so our notification system, whenever a student is administered an intervention, they pop up on the teacher's laptop or desktop, whatever it may be, about whenever they need to help that student. Part of the problem that teachers have are the development of SMART goals. SMART goals, put simply, are a short-term measurable goal that teachers make for kids to make sure that they are successful. They're extremely difficult for some teachers to do, so we made a SMART goal wizard for the platform to once again take that work away from the teachers and put that work back helping the kids.
And yet another problem that we were finding was transferability. I already talked about how Scott would have to track down these purple folders because you'd have 6 or 7 teachers sharing one folder. This system, K-12 Logistics, cuts down on that. All of the users have immediate access to the student records. In addition, just like Scott's student, Little Johnny, students move around a lot, and it takes a minimum of a week to transfer their records from one school to another. If you have a student who's moving every 2 months, that student has a lot of time where they're missing interventions. With K-12 Logistics, it's literally 2 emails, and a school will have that student's records. And we wanted to make this as easy as possible. So our platform is online, and you can access it on a variety of devices like desktops, laptops, tablets, and even the cell phones, so teachers can have it when and where they need it. So,
as Blair said, what is this helping? How do we know it's helping? 2 years ago, I was made the RTI, again, Response to Intervention Coordinator at my school. Shortly into that, my principal says, hey, this guy's doing a great job. Let's make him an assistant principal. I'm like, okay. Well, at first, I was struggling with those purple folders. But whenever I started using the K-12 Logistics platform, what I found is I was able to do all of my duties as an RTI coordinator, plus all of my duties as an assistant principal, and those are many, and still get the kids the help they need in a timely manner.
So the future of K-12, we've had developed this platform, but we want to refine our platform, create partnerships with schools to make sure that the teachers are getting what they need. And we have additional ideas that are in early development phases, like a school safety app that can help when problems arise at a school, we'll say.
All right, so let's talk money. This is a business as well. We're helping kids. This is a business. We want to put jobs here in Dalton where the IT company is located. This is our business model. You get $300 per seat. That is per user. That is teacher or administrator. And usually there's about 40 people in a school that would be using this, having contact with students. And there's usually about 16 schools in each district. Now, with that, what we wanted to do was make sure that we provided teachers with the training they needed to make sure their RTI process was done effectively. A program in their hand does nothing if they're not trained to do so. So we suggest training to go along with this. Now, as we go here, these are our projections for the next 5 years. As you can see, we want to start with one school system, hopefully Dalton City Schools. And then you can see the growth over the next 5 years. In 5 years, we hope to be within at least 5 districts here in Georgia, and you can see the potential growth just for 5 school districts. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 216 school districts in the state of Georgia alone. Any questions?
Scott and Blair, fantastic presentation. Well done. I mean, your enthusiasm is clearly felt here. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea to be able to create an online platform where you can collect all that data for students, the progress of students, the challenges, and really the transferability is really an important issue as well when they change schools. I wish we could do that as well for healthcare system, so that every time we go to the doctor, we don't have to fill in the paperwork. They can just transfer it from one to the other. That would save us a lot of time. Maybe that's your next adventure. Great idea. And I think the panel has some questions here. I'm gonna ask Brian now to maybe ask the first question.
So again, congratulations on the presentation. It was terrific. When you talk about databases, when you talk about student records, I think one of the things in today's world that just jumps out that I didn't hear about was how do you protect that data from internal sources and external sources? What's your security? If you could elaborate on that, that would be terrific.
Yes, sir. Well, the company that we partnered with is Inventure IT here in Dalton, an extremely successful company already. They've already gone into the medical field, providing some doctors and everything, the services they need. They're big into logistics. They work with the carpet companies here in Dalton as well. Along those lines, so if they're dealing with the medical field and those personal records of all of the clients and everything of the doctors, it is extremely secure, and you're absolutely right. But the schools have to sign like FERPA agreements, Freedom of Education Rights and Privacy Act, with the company in order to ensure that we're allowed to use their data.
Yes, Adventure IT, our developer, works with the HIPAA laws, and they make sure that everything they do for the medical community that they work in follows those laws completely. The educational field tends not to be quite as strict as the HIPAA, but because we've been working with them, we're making sure that our security is just as strong as medical documents.
Once again, great job. First question, do you use it at William James?
Yes, sir. Sure do.
Do you pay for it?
No, sir.
Okay.
As a pilot.
Ultimate pilot test, right?
Yes, sir.
So just following up on that, when you go to a district or school, and I'm assuming you're going district-wide.
Yes, sir.
Who makes that decision at the district? Is it the school board? Is it the district supervisor? Is it who is the ultimate decision maker? And another way to say it is, who are you selling to, and how much of that is common if you go to the next district, the next district, the next district? Is that always the same person?
Great question. With ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act, that replaced No Child Left Behind. Schools, individual schools, have a lot of control over the monies that go into them. So this could be done at the local school level. So if a principal decided, I want this in my school just to help my school, they have the right to purchase it just as is.
But that's quite expensive, right? 40 people at one school, 12,000 per school.
Yeah, well, it would be per teacher. It's around 40 users in the school, so $1,200 for the.
At $300 a user, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What about the budget cycle of schools? Sometimes we have a good budget, other years we're quite lean. How do you manage your sales with the budget?
That would be up to the individual school districts. My thoughts is kids need this, and if you produce a product that's going to help the teachers and help the kids, it's going to sell itself, and it's going to be seen as so vital that they can't live without it. So that's where we are moving forward. As an educator, yes, and as a part business owner, I want you to help make money in this and develop jobs with this. But at the end of the day, we want to help kids. And if we help teachers, help kids, it is going to stay in the system. It's not going anywhere.
And schools are typically given a certain amount of money, especially if they're Title I schools, that they can spend on different programs to help students. And this falls under those types of programs. They're limited in what they can spend that type of money in, but we've made sure that our program is one of those things that falls under Title I money.
I'm quite impressed with the fact that within the next 4 years you look to about $1.9 million in revenue.
Yes,
It's quite
sir.
impressive, but I'm a little bit confused, and maybe you can help me a little bit on the numbers, how exactly that profitability is going to work, because you have to have people calling on the schools. I mean, you have to pay them, salespeople, commissions, travel expenses. And when I look at your financials here, Scott, I mean, it's a little bit confusing to me as to how you're going to make a profit.
Yes, sir. Well, as you go into the different schools, the number of seats that you're going to need are going to grow. And based on our business model, it should almost spread like wildfire. As you get into a school, the surrounding schools should use this program if they really want to compete with that school, because they should see the benefits of this. So one school should turn into one district. As that school district is successful, the surrounding school districts are going to see that success, and they should adopt the program as well.
So you think word of mouth will kind of accelerate the business?
Yes, sir. There are built-in salaries and everything in there, and there is built-in investment back into the product because we want to continue to grow the product as well.
Yeah, and just what Jamie was saying earlier on, 40 per school at 300 is $12,000. I mean, you mentioned 1,200, but it's $12,000,
Yes.
which is quite a sizable amount. So
Yes, sir.
anyway, just wanted to. But anyway, thanks for the explanation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Big thank you to K-12 Logistics. Anybody think that teachers' jobs aren't hard enough? Anybody think that anything we can do to make it easier is beneficial not only to the teachers but our students as well? I've got 2 kids in public school. Absolutely. While our next group's getting ready, I want to talk a little bit about something that I mentioned earlier. I mentioned that this night in our Dalton Innovation Accelerator, our partnership, a true community partnership. And in many ways for us at Believe Greater Dalton, this worked out exactly as we intended. We leveraged an idea in the community that entrepreneurs were already talking about. So when I said we achieved our 5-year goals within the first year, what I failed to say is we really need to thank Barry Slaymaker at Barrett Properties, Bob Caperton at Barrett Properties, and Stacy Roach at Adventure IT, because we are here tonight because of them. So let's give them a round of applause. We have a lot of other partners I'm going to talk about later, but really the credit for the idea needs to go to them. So let's give a warm welcome to our next group, Les Glue.
The solution to stop those messy breakups. I'm not talking about your love life. I'm talking about Legos. I'm Trip Phillips from Dalton, Georgia, and I invented leg glue. In 3rd grade, as a class assignment, I had the option to write a 200-word essay or come up with an invention. Now, I chose to do what any other logical 9-year-old would do, avoided the writing. I went home and asked my dad, I know since you've invented a few things in your lifetime, you probably know how to do this. So how in the world do I come up with an invention? He said it was pretty simple. Just find a problem and then come up with a solution to fix it. So that's exactly what I did. I was in my room playing with my Delta airplane, and when I'd do a takeoff, the wing would pop off. It hit me. I need something to keep these blocks together, but not permanently like super glue does. I ran into my dad's room and told him the idea. He said it was great and he'd get on it at work. At the lab where my dad works, he came up with some formulas. I was testing the glue with my hands and I had glue running up all my arms, and he was using his fancy tensile testers to pull the glue apart and see how strong it was. To our surprise, one of the formulas worked. We were so excited. So that's how leg glue was born. Unbeknownst to me, at the time, my teacher, Miss Thomason, entered me into the International Torrance Legacy Creativity Contest. I was competing against high schoolers. At the time, I was in 3rd grade, and I won 1st place in the International Torrance Legacy Creativity Contest. Did I mention it was international? How we started. After the formula was complete, we started out mixing leg glue by hand in a 5-gallon bucket, so it was pretty labor intensive. My sister and I spooned in the leg glue into small containers with just a regular old kitchen spoon, and we put on the labels also by hand, so we could only do around 15 an hour. The next big idea. While eating applesauce, Mott's to be exact, it hit me. I need something, or I wish I could put leg glue in one of these spout packs. It would look so much cooler and be so much easier to use. I told my dad the idea, and he said, buddy, that's leg glue's next big idea. We searched the world 7 times over. We got to go to this gigantic manufacturing plant that had a big boardroom and people in suits. I felt like an executive. They packaged everything from Snickers to the water you're drinking right now. Once we found the right packaging, it looked way cooler, it was much more retail ready, and we ended up saving 91 cents per unit with the new packaging. Did I mention it was my idea? Now our process is streamlined, and we can ramp up to thousands of units per day, 500 an hour. Even me and my sister can do it. It's so easy with the machine we use. And before that, we'd just sit on our ottoman for a Tuesday night and watch TV and start filling leg glues. Now, protecting my idea was very important to us, so we applied for a trademark to the USPTO for our name, leg glue. Then we had to hire an expensive patent attorney. He was successful, and I was only 1 year short. 1 year of being the youngest patent holder in U.S. history. And this arrow points to my name. These things things are pretty expensive, but we paid for them with our sales from Leglu, so we have zero liabilities. We are in the black. Let me direct your attention to this big yellow arrow. These are the 2017 actual numbers. Our total sales added up to $51,448. Our net income is $23,475. Although we did make a pretty good amount of money, not all of it's in my pocket, because what I learned was once we sold our first batch of Leglu, I asked my dad, "Where's my paycheck?" He said, "Well, buddy, once we get that money, we have to buy more ingredients to make the glue, then sell the glue again. Then we have to use that money to buy more ingredients to make the glue to sell it again. Then we use that money to buy more ingredients to make the glue to sell it." You get the idea. Our sales channels. We love the internet. Our main website is leglu.com. It's our personal website. You can buy glue, you can buy bricks, you can buy even merchandise. We have all of our videos, instructions, and even the history of Leglu on that website. You can pay with PayPal, credit card, cash. We'll even take Bitcoin. We sell on Amazon, which is our gorilla. We love Amazon. We sell around 70% of our product on that website. It's amazing. We sell on eBay and Etsy, some small retail toy stores, and we're partnered with Flybricks for Lego drones because it holds them together. And we have potential mass retail in negotiations. Our future. We plan to improve our marketing, script and create a new commercial for TV and radio. My dad has a little jingle for Leglu, but it's not very good. We plan to apply more aggressive advertising and visit trade shows, of course, all to get our name out there. We plan to continue conversations with large retail, and my personal goal is to be placed in each of the 90 million Lego kits sold in the United States every single year. I also plan to pass the Georgia Milestones test and make it to the 7th grade. Please enjoy our commercial.
Initiate launch sequence. 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
I invented Leglu to stop those messy breakups. And the best part, you soak them in water and they come apart like new again.
We love Leglu.
Call 8554-LEGLU or go to our website, leglu.com. That was a long time ago. Thank you, Pitch DIA, for letting me share my idea with you such wonderful people. Thank you for showcasing Dalton's entrepreneurship. All the way from Mrs. Whitener to Mr. Shaw, entrepreneurship has made Dalton what it is today. Oh, one more thing. Thank you.
Trip, we love that. I think you're ready to come on over to Dalton State and enroll in our entrepreneurship class right now.
Thank you.
How big can you go with this?
We're hoping to expand it until we get noticed by Lego, and then hopefully we can do a partnership with them and go from there.
Any other ideas for this glue beyond Lego?
My name's Lee Phillips, and I'm Trip's minor partner. We are focusing really as a lesson from Mr. Shaw on the industry that we're in. There are other uses, But once we conquer those 90 million kits a year, we'll move to the next phase.
Trip, first and foremost, fantastic presentation, and you're quite a young man to be able to convince your dad to be a minority shareholder in your business. I mean, that's quite an achievement, I must say so. You talk about cash in your pocket, and as an entrepreneur and as a business person, you will soon learn that when the more business you do, the more you're going to have to pay for raw materials, work in process, inventory, receivables, and all those things. And it will be a while before you'll see the cash in your pockets. So my question to you is, and again, I looked at your business plan in 2017. You did about $53,000 in 1864. You're planning on doing 64,000, and in 19, $75,000. Would it not be better to align yourself and license this technology to one of the major glue manufacturers like Henkel or H.B. Fuller or Dow Chemical or 3M, so to speak? And you just sell the technology, give them a licensing agreement, collect licensing fees, and get it cash straight in your pocket without having to go through all this complicated supply chain. By doing that, they have access to the distribution, to the selling, to the channels, to the shelf space in the store. So have you contemplated doing this type of strategy?
I have been in some talks with a couple of the companies that you mentioned. We want to explore the options. We have several channels that we may consider. We spent some time making sure that people understood the concept, understood how it was to be used, test market for a while, looking at reviews of people that actually used it. So now we believe we're in that position to move forward in maybe several arenas, one of which you've discussed.
Thank you. Ryan?
So we've mentioned Lego a few times now, right? So I think sort of the elephant in the room is, have you reached out to them? What is the plan to sort of get you to that end goal?
We have not reached out to them, and it's purposeful as well. There is difficulty getting to the right person. Lego has about 60,000 employees, of which we need to speak to one really important one. We just don't know exactly who and when the timing would be right for that. We are looking to hopefully have them realize from the amount of exposure that we've gotten over the last 6 months that they would possibly reach out to us. The problem is we don't know if they want to admit the failure that they have, although they did make a whole movie about Craggle, which is their enemy. So we are the Craggle solution. So we do believe we dovetail with them very well, although there are other companies that produce blocks in a very large fashion. Lego is his personal goal, so I'm going to follow his lead, and that's our golden ticket, is if we can get with Lego, but our intentions are to be in touch with them.
Fantastic job. So quick little comment about your packaging. Just in the news this past year, there's been kids that have, the Tide Pods and the stuff like that. I agree with you. I think the packaging looks fantastic. I believe wholeheartedly it's a better retail package. Any concern because of what it looks like? It does look like applesauce or anything with kids maybe confusing?
If they did, for some reason, want to eat it, it's non-toxic, and we've done our best to make it not smell or taste very good.
Have you tried it?
Yes. Multiple times, and all of them weren't pleasant.
It is a natural adhesive. It is very non-toxic. I could go into the ingredients, but it would bore you. But there's really nothing in there that would harm you. In fact, some of the ingredients you eat every day in breading of chicken. It's what makes the bread stick to the chicken. So it really is non-toxic. So it's not a concern that will harm somebody. If they ate about 12 pounds, they'd have trouble the next day with other things, but it's not going to hurt them.
Trip, just to go back on the Lego story or the Lego connection that you want to make, if that's really your goal, then that's what you should do 24/7. You mentioned entrepreneurs like Mr. Bob Shaw here. This man never took no for an answer in order to get where he is today. So if that's your goal, you need to do that, because Lego will not come to you. They might see your site, and the first thing that they're going to do is try to get around your patent. They're going to try to find a way to adjust the formula a little bit and say, great idea, how can we get around that patent? If you are proactive and you really put all your effort in getting in front of Lego, and I know it's not easy, but life is not easy. As an entrepreneur, things are not easy. If you do that, you will be successful. If you don't, they might be a step ahead of you, and this might fall apart.
Thank you.
Big round of applause for our LeGlue team. I don't know if I should be concerned that the breading on my chicken can stick Legos together, but at this point in time, I'm going to say thank you to our judges, and I'm going to invite them to go and deliberate. Again, I want to thank all the partners that we have here for this pitch competition. We're going to have a slide up later that talks about them. But this really was a community-based effort. This was not just Believe Greater Dalton. This was not just Inventure IT. This was not just Barrett Properties. It was multiple groups of people who worked for months to get us to where we are today. Are our next folks ready? Where are they at? There you go. Okay, great. They're ready. All right, at this time, you're going to want to go around the other way. These folks have an interesting story. While they're walking up here, I'm going to ask you to give them a round of applause. They just got back from their honeymoon. Newlywed couple, please welcome to the stage the Peacock Technology team.
We're cute. Okay, is this on? Okay. Cool. So, hey, our idea is Peacock Technologies. Before we dive in, we're going to do a quick introduction. So this is Zach, my husband, as of 10 days ago. Thank you. It's been awesome. We graduated from Georgia Tech within this past year as industrial engineers. Zach actually was born and raised right here in Dalton. He's been around manufacturing his whole life, and now we're actually back in the Dalton area, and he's working in the manufacturing industry. And Zach and I believe that we have the solution to some of manufacturing's biggest problems. So we're going to dive into what exactly that problem is. Well, the largest group of workers in the U.S. are now millennials. Thank you. So millennials, they are a different breed than their predecessors, which are the baby boomers. And in the next 5 years, 2.5 million baby boomers are going to be retiring from the manufacturing sector alone. And it's predicted that 60% of those jobs are going to go unfilled. So a lot of money is going towards recruiting, will go towards recruiting, already is, and a lot of money is going towards not being able to keep the employees that they already have. So a lot of you already know turnover is a huge problem. This is just a small example of a small plant of 100 employees with a very conservative number of 10% turnover, but Zach and I have talked to a lot of people within Dalton in the manufacturing area, and we know that there are plants right here that have turnover well over 20%, so it's a huge cost to manufacturing. Now back to the millennials. So we're millennials. We believe we can speak from this perspective. We know that we are motivated differently. We think differently. We love instant gratification. We love visibly being able to see our progress, goals that we can see and touch. And so our solution is all about that. It's all about the people and letting them stand out. So we have thought about, it's just an idea, but it is a human resource and goal management platform for manufacturing specifically. And it's specifically for the people on the floor so that they can increase their job satisfaction and really make goals and reach those goals. And Zach's going to go into the two functions that our software has, which is an application view and a monitor view.
Are you going to take over the... Yeah. Okay. All right, so as you can see, this is just a draft. We don't necessarily tout ourselves as experienced designers, but as Kelsey said, it's just an idea right now, but we do have a prototype, and we wanted to show y'all a couple views of that prototype. So as you can see upon login, we want to have capability to link with other work profiles to be populated right into your profile. So as you get inside the application, you can see that you can access personal information, job history, historical performance, as well as on-the-job achievements that we're calling feathers, Peacock Technologies feathers. There's also safety application to where you can kind of see the hot spots around your plant and add safety events. We also have a news feed, kind of using the social media aspect to be able to know what's going on at the plant at all times. We also have process improvement functionality to be able to keep track of your process improvement ideas as well as enter new ideas. And we obviously have production statistics. And this kind of leads us into the second part of our platform, and that's the monitor view. So this will be displayed on the floor of plants for production workers. And this will be live data so that the production employees can see what they're doing while they're doing it and have a little bit of personality with their shift. We're also trying to leverage some gamification to be able to add things such as videos and music and maybe a funny image of your boss. When you reach your production target or production record, the shift, the supervisor in the plant can add that functionality in. So what's our value? We believe that we can create a competitive advantage in the labor market and really set companies apart in trying to find new talent. We also believe that we can promote a team mentality that empowers production staff to increase productivity and just set a positive example and set themselves apart from each other. But more than all that, we believe that our monetary value is in reducing turnover. In fact, at our price point that we have right now at $5 per employee per month, if we were just to impact turnover by 1%, we would be giving our customers 100% return on investment for their business. So if any of this piques your interest, we are currently looking for strategic partnerships in the area to try and move forward with companies, as well as seeking funding to try and go ahead and develop this project. We are the table with the Jolly Ranchers in the back if you want to come talk to us. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thank you guys, and congratulations once again on your wedding. Our next pitch actually is going to be a video. The owner of our next company, which is called Leash Pro, is actually meeting with a company tonight about the product that she has invented. So we're going to show you a really quick video from Leash Pro since that company could not be here. So please enjoy the Leash Pro video.
With over 70 million dog owners in the U.S. alone, the all-new Leash Pro lock will make your life easier. It's a remote-controlled lock and release for your animal's leash. Simply fasten the lock to your existing collar and leash. Leash Pro is a digital device that provides temporary restraint for and gives you the convenience to release your animal remotely. Whether your dog is jumping on you when dressed for an important meeting or is running out of the gate or garage. Now you can prevent your pet from running away or dashing into the street. The Leash Pro Lock is your solution. The beauty of Leash Pro Lock is that it allows you to remotely disconnect your pet from its leash by using the latest wireless connection smart technology. The LED light and audible tone confirms release. And it works with most universal leashes and collars. Now your beloved pet can be freed remotely and safely. It's water resistant and comes in fun, innovative colors.
Thank you.
And they're based just down the road in Calhoun, Georgia. While we're waiting for our judges to finish deliberating, I did want to take a moment to point out to the slides here. These are our various different partners. All of these folks have participated directly in the development of PitchDia and the Dalton Innovation Accelerator. Almost all of these have either submitted cash prizes or in-kind prizes that our top 3 folks will have a chance at winning tonight. So these are our partners. Let's have another big round of applause for them. Our prizes tonight definitely would not be possible without them. I'm going to ask if I could have somebody maybe help move this table down. And I'd like to ask our 3 finalists, will our 3 final teams come and join me on stage, please? Y'all ready to find out who won? If I could get y'all to just kind of line up over here, that'd be great. No, you're all right. Line up over here. That's good. That'll work too. All right. The secret envelope. Let's once again have a round of applause for all of our contestants tonight. After hearing these pitches tonight, does anybody think that the entrepreneurial spirit is dead in our community? Anybody think that? No. Anybody think it's alive and well? Anybody excited about the future of entrepreneurship in Greater Dalton, Georgia? Me too. Judges, thank you once again. I'm going to open my secret envelope here. And we're going to find out which one of these teams has won our competition. And I'm going to start with the runner-up. Our runner-up is K-12 Logistics. I could probably ask the Rockbridge folks to give me a drum roll. I'm sure they can do that, but we'll spare them. Who's ready for our winner? The winner of the inaugural PitchDia 2018 Legloo. Y'all give the trophies. There you go, Trip. That's yours, buddy. Thank you. All right, guys. Once again, big round of applause for all of our winners. Now, these folks are going to be available in the back because I know y'all want to talk to them about investing in their company. So they're going to be available in the back of the room when we're done taking pictures. So, guys, stay up here. We're going to take some pictures. Judges, thank you once again. PitchDia partners, thank you once again. To our audience, thank you guys so much for braving a stormy night to come out and join us. We hopefully will be back to you next year. We're adjourned. Thank you. Again, if you want to talk to them, stick around. They'll be available to talk to you after pictures.